Hi, it's Tuesday and I have only been out of the flat once since Thursday. That's right. That's why I don't know what day it is, because everything is blended into one.
Welcome to another episode of Toby Stupid Vlog.
This is the problem with trying to do an hour-long documentary in 1 week from scratch. It's a dumb idea, don't do it. Where we've landed is surprisingly good, but still I wouldn't have bet on it. Again, lowbrow stuff. Pathé pictures is how it was described by the host. I think that's accurate. It's a beauty piece, really, about the parade, which is fine. It's got a job to do, and it's going to do it very well. So anyway, it's mostly finished. We're waiting on the last set of comments, which I'm hoping is a very, very short list, because it has to be delivered today, and it takes an hour and a half to render it, which is to say to get it out of the software and into a single file. And it takes at least 3.5 hours to upload it to the States. So, because it ends up being like 26 gigabytes in broadcast standard. So, yeah, I'm feeling relieved. I'm going to be annoyed again this afternoon because there will be changes. There's never nothing. And I can almost predict a couple of them, but I'm just not going to think about that yet. But it will be done. And I'm on to the next thing. And the next thing is back to my International Paralympic Committee podcasts, of which there's quite a few to do. The series has been extended from 17 episodes to 20, plus there's a bonus episode, plus I'm doing another unrelated thing for the same client at the end of the month, which is Monday, and I've got other projects that have been on hold because of this documentary, so they have to pick up again. So it's fair to say that it's busy at the moment, and it's much easier to be busy when Amelia is at nursery, but the bulk of this documentary work has been done Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and of course she was at home those days, and that was challenging, although yesterday she was in quite a good mood. So anyway, I'm going for a walk because, as I mentioned 3 minutes ago, I haven't properly been out of the house since I collected Amelia from nursery on Thursday. In case it's not obvious from this video, we are still in lockdown, and it isn't obvious because there's because as I mentioned before, the restrictions are very limited, or rather the restrictions are very, very stringent, but the exceptions are almost unlimited. So there's an exception for almost anything, except you can't, hug your parents, and you cannot buy clothes from a retailer until the 3rd of December. But that's literally no time away at all now. So I think if they were sensible, they would extend the full lockdown up until the timing of their supposed Christmas break, where suddenly the virus goes on holiday and we don't have to be sensible anymore. But this is a government where common sense is not, it's not that just that it's not in abundance, there's literally none. The only thing that people who are COVID cautious and people who are COVID skeptics have in common is that they both think that this government is an absolute shit show, and the way that things have been handled is completely diabolical, just downright stupid at best, and at worst just a massive bypassing of the systems that are in place to ensure that proper democratic scrutiny happens when governments use emergency powers. But that's the only thing we agree on, because other than that, people who I'm generously saying COVID skeptics, I might otherwise describe them as tinfoil hat wearing lunatics, we have nothing in common, because these they're dangerous people, and they're the reason that the infection rates are so high and deaths are going up. But positives, we're turning the corner probably, but we probably need another month in reality to truly turn it back to where it was around August time. And there'd be a very good reason to do that, and that is that there's now 3 working vaccines, and they will be ready at roughly the start of the year. They'll vary a bit, different ones be ready in bulk at different times, but if we can maintain lockdown until vaccinations started, that would be very sensible. To show what an absolute shambles this year has been in terms of like being able to gauge where you are in the year, like I was absolutely convinced that that it was still October and in fact next week is December, so I'm a full month out, which is quite bad. But like as I've mentioned before, I'm sure like you sort of judge the year based upon the things that you do in routine, but nothing has been very routine except that everyone has been stuck at home solidly for large chunks of the year. So that's the main reason I'll be glad to see the end of 2020. So I'd just like to get back some of the bits of my life that I really liked. You know, like going out and seeing people and seeing your family and going on holiday. And yeah, the sooner the better really. But I mean, not until we're all vaccinated. But I do miss that stuff a lot, I admit, because it breaks up what is otherwise quite repetitive weeks and months. They sort of flow into each other without any feeling. And you know, a lot of people probably experience that if they have jobs they don't like and they don't have the money to go away. And I hugely sympathise, because it sort of just eats away your life. I mean, that's the best way of describing it. Like, because weeks and months and all feel the same, like you can burn through years quite quickly and not have done anything that you've really enjoyed. So despite the fact that this has been, for me personally, and rather perversely, the most financially successful year I've ever had, it hasn't been particularly enjoyable. Aside from, and it sounds weird, and I've said it, to anyone who'll listen, the middle part of first lockdown, when it was spring weather and I had nothing to do, I thought was quite glorious. Now, because this video will invariably take me about 6 weeks to put up, maybe, hopefully better, but it will be practically the end of the year. So my question to you to think upon, but I'd quite like to see your answers if possible, but you know, I'll take it that at least you're thinking about it. I'd like to know what your most positive thing about 2020 has been, because the news cycle is going to reflect the fact that most people have had a torrid time, and I accept that. But you know, you need, in order to move forward, you need to take some positives out of your life. So what has been your best thing about 2020? Think about it. I'm sure there's been one highlight, and let me know. I mentioned my spring lockdown walks as one of mine. I think that's up there. The Gloucestershire holiday also was really, really good, and so was the Kent holiday, and they were short and brief and in the United Kingdom, but they were little pinnacles of sunshine in the year. And I have to say, in November, I think November's been exceptional, if I'm honest. Like, I've had the 3 highlights back to back. Trump losing the election, that's excellent. That's the single best piece of news for the world. A close second is 3 vaccines being found for COVID about a week later, and a respectable third is Dominic Cummings and his ultra no deal leavers being kicked out of Downing Street as reality sinks in. So yeah, Schadenfreude is alive and well, but those have really made me smile. You know, I said how they'd be a dip in my mood when the feedback came back. I'm at that point. It's not significant changes, but all changes when you feel like a project is done are just a bit like 2 steps back, you know what I mean? Anyway, they're not going to take long. They're going to take 15 minutes, but still. So that's where I am emotionally, and then I'll feel great again afterwards, because this has been a really nice walk and it's actually warmer than I thought. I even had a bit of sunshine, so you know, the world is actually looking reasonably rosy, let's say. And then I get to go and pick up Amelia, and that's going to be fun too. I have to say these things out loud. It's like when you count your blessings, it's the same process as my vlogging. So that's all I have to say. Hi there. That's not in focus, is it? That's better. It is Wednesday, 5 o'clock, thereabouts, not quite. It's when I'm going to pick up Amelia, my usual walk in the evenings. All parade related documentary work on documentary 1, I should hasten to add, is finished. The programme has been received. It is being legalised, which is about broadcast levels and luminance and gamut. If you're into that kind of thing, that'll make sense. Otherwise, those are just words. And it will air on American public service television on the 2nd of December. Is that right? No, it can't do, because that's next week. On the 26th of December. There we go. So that is great, and it's now out of my hands. I don't know if I mentioned this, but there's another programme that he's making, which airs on January the 1st, I think, because it is in lieu of the parade, which is cancelled, obviously. And that is a programme of performances which are being recorded Thursday and Friday, and which is much more straightforward to put together, because it's not a doc, it is just a prog. So that is the next thing to be working on. Tomorrow I am driving all the way to Chatham. If you don't know where that is, it is where the historic Royal Docks are on the River Medway. Basically you follow the Thames out along to Kent, and then you find where the Medway joins, and it's kind of around there. Dartford, you might have heard of Dartford. There's a big tunnel and a big bridge that are constantly congested. Anyway, it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours away, which is a long way to drive, but it's a very cheap monitor, and so the fuel cost even added to it still is good value. So that's where I'm going tomorrow morning. I'm going to drive all the way there, pick up a monitor, and drive all the way back. And that will be fun, because it's a nice day, although the traffic might be bad. I'll try and take a camera and see if I see anything. And then I've got to come back and do a bit more work, because it's technically just a Thursday tomorrow, and it's a normal work day. And things are sort of settling slightly back towards normal this weekend. I haven't got to work every day, and that's a relief. But I don't know what we're doing, really. I know that I'm filming something on Friday, which I mentioned. I'm helping film these performances, and then on Saturday, and Crystal's out with Amelia anyway. She's going to meet up with another mum and baby, which is permissible under current lockdown regulations, because the children don't count as long as they're below school age. And then she's doing the same thing on Saturday with a different baby and a different mother. So I might, if the weather's half decent, go and, I don't know, go for a walk, fill my boots. Either way, it'll be a pleasant change of pace. Good morning. I am on my way to Chatham to pick up a screen, which is a long way to go to pick up a screen, but as I mentioned, it's super cheap, and therefore the petrol plus the price is still cheaper than I could buy it almost anywhere. At the moment I'm trying to work out where the bin man is getting. Okay. there we go. Right, I'm off. I will give you updates as we go if it's interesting. It might not be. It's the M25. M25. Truly the most boring place in the country. I think I've talked before about how I don't like motorway driving, but it's not because it's stressful. Although there are a lot of idiots on the road, as I mentioned, but it's mainly because it's so dull. It's so dull as to lure you into a false sense of security, and it's so repetitive, and there's no driving as such. It's just you sitting with your foot sort of either stuck over the brake if you're on cruise control, or at the same position on the accelerator, and you don't really do anything, and it's so boring. Like, being in an airport lounge is the only thing that's comparable in terms of boring, but at least that ends with a flight somewhere. This is just the most tedious way of spending your life. Anyway, I'm on here for another hour, so that's fun. But we get to see the historic Chatham Dockyard, so that'll be nice for me at least. And then I've got to pick up this monitor and then drive all the way back again.
Meters at 4 Elms roundabout, take the second exit onto A289.
Thanks. Well, I might not go through the Channel Tunnel, but we get to go under the Medway, so that's
600
fun.
meters, take the exit towards A231 Chatham.
Very nearly there. My dad used to work all around here and on the River Medway, but I can't say I know it at all. We must have come here once, but I just don't remember any of it. This is not the pretty part of Kent. No offence to anyone who lives here, but this is very much the historical industrial part of Kent. So it's somewhat less beautified.
200 meters at the roundabout, take the first exit onto Maritime Way.
These are the historic docks. These are some bumps. Yeah, they're pretty intense. This is all residential and commercial now, and obviously these were...
You have arrived.
Thanks, I haven't quite. These were obviously quite important docks for trade into the United Kingdom at one point. Let's go and find Alan and get his monitor. How exciting. There we go, all done. You're allowed to park for 15 minutes. No unauthorised parking, but it's authorised if it's only 15 minutes, apparently. So that's exciting. Well, that was a very brief trip to the docks. I'm going to go and find somewhere to have a little break. There you go. It's a bit of Kent nautical life. That's one of the towers. I don't think that was the one I just was in. I was in the next one down. But yeah, this is a Shepherd Neame pub most of the time, but obviously it's closed at the moment. What a lovely spot. Very nice. I need to find well, I'm going to go to the Co-op. I need to find somewhere that has a toilet. Because I've been driving for ages and I don't know where there is one in Kent. I'm sure Kent has one toilet. We'll have to find out. Wow, Gillingham is not somewhere I want to come back to in a hurry. So let's leave. Let's go somewhere and eat me apple and my crisp, which I brought with me for emergencies, but I'm quite hungry. Off we go.
Use any lane to turn right towards Jeffrey Street. A231, then turn left onto Jeffrey Street.
Let's do what the nice lady says. What we're going to do is go to the country park and see if it looks nice and autumnal or if it looks grey and wintry and crap. And then if the latter is the case, we're going to eat very quickly and go home. If the former is the case, I might go for a little walk. So let's see how we go. So this is like, what's the name of the place we're at currently? We are at Shawn Woods Country Park, which looks very nice, although it's a bit wintry, and I do want to go home for lunch. So I stopped, I bought a muffin, had a tiny little stroll around, stretched my legs, went to the loo, and now we can go home, which would be very nice. Right, I'm going to go and spend some more time on a couple of motorways. It's going to be great. Wish me luck. I'll see you back. I'll see you somewhere along the way, very possibly. Cobham services, absolute classic.
In 600 metres, turn left onto the slip road to M25.
You should know that I don't mean that it's
Head
one
north.
of the best service stations. It's not. It's one of them. It's an average service station, but at least it's not a shit welcome break, because they're terrible.
Head southeast.
Yeah, okay. Bloody hell, it's not that hard to get out. So I just stopped briefly.
In 600 metres, turn left onto the slip road to M25.
I mean, she's very descriptive today, let's say. But yeah, nice to have a bit of a break, and then I've got to head back out. What is going on here? Some sort of lorry park. Okay, yeah, should be home in about 35 minutes, which will be very nice, and I don't want to do any more driving for a week, so hopefully I won't have to. I'll give you the final distance in the end, but I left at 8:20. I don't know when I left. I'm going to say 8:25, which is about 4 hours and 10 minutes ago. Which in the grand scheme of things is not terrible. It was an hour and a half there and an hour and a half back, and then that's about an hour of messing around, finding loos, buying food, picking up a monitor. So I can't really complain. That is probably as good a time as you can do it in, aside from like if you'd flung the monitor out the window and I'd caught it and then just turned straight around. But yeah, that's not bad, and I made it back for lunch, which is really all I was concerned about, because I'm led by my stomach on all things. So 247 kilometers, and if you don't know what that is in miles, look it up, because I don't care.